Hi guys, I'm Dan at vintagevelo.org. Now, regular viewers of the channel will know that one of my favourite bikes I love to ride is my Bianchi Megapro from 1998. It's a Il Pirata Pantani Mercatone Uno replica. I do literally thousands of kilometres on that every year and I love it to bits. It puts the biggest smile on my face. One bike I don't ride as much, and it is for good reason, which we'll come on to in a moment, is this one here. Which is also a Bianchi Megapro from 1998. But this one is not a replica, this is the real deal. This is a team bike from the Mercatone Uno team from 1998. Now, it's not Pantani's bike. This was ridden by his loyal domestic teammate, Ricardo Forcono, and he rode with Pantani that year in both the Giro and the Tour. So this bike did the Giro Tour double in 1998 in support of Marco Pantani's fantastic double victories. There are many differences, to be fair, between this and Pantani's bike, and one of the reasons why you'll never see a rider like me riding any of Pantani's actual bikes is because Pantani's frames, they were not Bianchi Reparto Corse built like these. They were actually built by a specialist builder. I believe Passetti was the builder, and a very special, super thin, super stiff alley was used, filled with some kind of foamy stuff to try and make it a little stiffer, but very brittle. There was a reason why he had over 35 frames in that 1998 year, because they cracked and broke loads underweight. And of course, Pantani, an absolute flyweight at just over 50 kilo. Me, I'd be a hefty lump on there and would probably crush it under just my weight. Certainly not my power, but just my weight would crush it. However, I thought today, let's make use of this stunning day here in the south of France and put these two through their paces. Now, that one there, my regular Megapro, the replica, I ride that loads. I know exactly how that rides. This one, less so. Hardly ever ridden this one because they can be quite brittle. Now, the first thing I should point out, despite the fact they weigh similar, the replica is actually a Bianchi Megapro L, it's the light, whereas the team bike is the Megapro XL, the extra light. And the reason for that is just literally the thickness and strength of the walls of the aluminium. Megapros have a deserved reputation for cracking on the aluminium round by the world. It definitely happens. My one that I ride loads, I have had to have welded up when I first got it. I had to have it stripped, the cracks drilled out and then welded back up. Now that was probably 7 or 8 years ago now, and there's no sign of them coming back, and it has been brilliant ever since. So they are fixable, but they are definitely brittle. And obviously with the XL, it's even lighter. And I am not going to be the one that puts a crack in a piece of history like this. However, that doesn't mean to say I don't ride it. I just don't ride it that often. So we're going to get out there and I want to see what the differences are between the real deal and the replica, to see if I can tell the difference. Obviously, straight away, one thing I can tell you is, yeah, that's a nice, generous 19 mil. In fact, I measured it. It says 19 on the rim. They're 18 mil. So I've got 18 mil of rubber on here. Fortunately, the roads here in the south of France are nice, but there's no way I would ride this in the UK. No way. Wouldn't make it through a ride for sure. Obviously, the frame-wise, we should be fairly familiar with this. It's Dedikai, aluminium throughout the world. Have a look. The welds are not good. They're certainly not pretty. They don't crack at the welds. The aluminium will crack, but the welds are really good. They don't look particularly fantastic. Also on here, I have the original ITM Big One stem, and that's on there. This year, 1998. We all like to think that they always had yellow tyres and a yellow Big One stem. and a yellow saddle. The thing is, when you look at the period photographs, especially Giro, they could have had Shimals, or they could have had those super light electron wheels on there. They could have had black Shimals as well. Sometimes a silver front and a black up back. You never know. Sometimes a yellow ITM, sometimes a black. And again, with the saddles, could be blue, could be yellow, could be either. This one's the original, and it has buckets of patina on that saddle. I love that about it. And there are also a host of PMP titanium small parts. So the rear stem is a PMP titanium stem. The bottom bracket is as well. The headset on this is actually a record headset. But yeah, there are always smatterings of PMP parts on these original team bikes. And just because it is what it is, it's got the Time EQ pedals. Now, I'm going to give these a go. Normally, I swap them out. But I have actually got the correct cleats on my shoes. I've swapped them over, and we're going to give those a go just for the full riding experience. I honestly can't tell you whether they work or don't work. I haven't tried them yet. This literally will be the first ride on those. I don't know. We'll find out in a moment. Anyway, enough talking. Let's just get this on the road and see what happens. Okay, first observation, it's a bit of a wrestle to get into those Time pedals. There's a heck of a lot of float here at the front and the toes, but no float at the back. It's a bit of an odd system, but you know, it is what it is. I would say, without a doubt, that yeah, Shimano and Look are, yeah, they're definitely, though for sure the Time red equipped pedals, they definitely look the part, but I'll be honest, yeah, Look and Shimano I would view now as an upgrade. They're so much easier on everything. Okay, I'm on a downhill now, I'm on the drops, and we all know, well, we should all know, Pantani was famous for a super crazy, mega sketchy style of descending, which is basically to hang his ass over the back wheel. That's as far as I want to go. That's really scary. I don't like that at all. Now I'll come on to the comparison between the replica and the real deal shortly, but one thing that is obvious when you look is the colours are not quite the same, and in fact when I look at the original paint on this 1998 Mercatone Uno team bike, it's more than one shade of Celeste blue, and I would argue that in fact the Celeste blue on here is actually changing colour, and the reason for that is definitely the top, or one of the coats of lacquer. This will be a kind of 3-coat paint system. You'll have the colour, and then you'll have the opalescent, and then you'll have the lacquer on top, and I think it's either the opalescent or the lacquer that's actually going quite a browny colour, or yellowing, and obviously you put yellow on top of blue, you can get green. So there are different shades of kind of fairly dirty looking greeny blue, minty green going on all over here, but they vary depending on which part of the bike you look at. So the age-old question, it really is, you look at the forums, man alive, no one really knows. But when someone says, you know, what Pantone or what colour is Bianchi Celeste blue, you just can't really say for certain because it's changing all the time. So how does the real deal compare with the replica out on the road? Is there an obvious difference? Well, I mean, they're both Ali, they're both handmade, they're both Bianchi. We've got Campagnolo record 9-speed titanium, the best group set ever, in my humble opinion. And yeah, I'd say there is. Now, first thing, I mean, I don't know why, but this thing fits me like a glove. Of course, it's too small for me technically on the frame. I may do a size fitting video later this year actually, but it just feels wonderful. Now, I love the replica. I'm going to be out there tomorrow putting in some good mileage, but this is just something else. Now, technically, weight-wise, they're both pretty similar because this has got the Shimals on here. They're a fairly hefty-looking wheel. Also, we don't have the Pantani style hollowed-out front lever that we have on the replica. Some grifters here, both sides. It was only Pantani that did the hollowed-out thing. But there were a number of other teams. He wasn't the only one doing that. A number of other teams. We'll come on to that again in another video. Boy, it feels lighter. Now that's a strange thing to say knowing that they're the same weight, but it feels lighter, and it actually feels a little bit stiffer, which it shouldn't, because it's a thinner alloy. When I was putting the pedals on, or putting my feet in the pedals for the first time, strangely, I would say the bottom end, the bottom bracket area is not that stiff. There was a lot of movement when you were trying to clip into that pedal the first time. That's not a stiff bottom bracket area. So maybe it is that time carbon fork that they've got going on here that really makes the difference, but I don't know whether it is just that, the whole thing. I mean, going down the seat of the pants, down the seat tube, it just feels really lively and connected. I mean, they both feel like a lot of fun. This just feels like, you know, it's taking it up to 11 rather than 10 on the fun score. Now, obviously, you know, geometry wise it's a Megapro and it's just a joy to descend, but there's no way on earth I'm gonna smack this to within an inch of its life. It's just far too, you know, fragile and important to do that. I'll save that for the replica. Now there's no way you can test a Mercatone Uno Pantani era Megapro without a bit of climbing, and some of you will have seen this bike being put through its paces before, not on this channel, but Sica over on GCN a couple of years ago put this up against a new Dogma X down by Cheddar Gorge down that way, and he put them head to head, and he'd never ridden a Bianchi Megapro before, and he'd also never ridden 9-speed Campagnolo either. And it's fair to say, if you've seen the video you'll know, but he loved this bike. And when it went head to head with the latest Dogma of the time, on that, I don't know, 4.5, 5k climb, this bike only lost out by 4 seconds. 4 to a latest Dogma. Now that's pretty tasty. Also, when you consider these 19mm rims, 18 to be fair, are ancient, rock hard, and they have a terrible rolling resistance. If they'd have got if I'd have put a nice, smooth, supple new set of Veloflex on here, well, you may have taken the win. In the meantime, let's just have a little pop out of the saddle, see how it goes. Oh no, that is just too easy. Well, made it through that ride. That was a lot of fun, especially in this glorious sunshine here in the south of France. Now, before I kind of sum this up, we have to touch on Marco Pantani, a very divisive character. To me, a true riding god. I loved the way he rode. I know we're in the dirtiest period of cycling history here, but you know, I admire. I mean, Pantani was a very, very nervous rider. He hated being in the bunch. He did not like that at all. So the likes of Ricardo Forcono on this bike, his job would have been to shepherd him on the flats and the hills, keep him safe, keep him happy, and then just let him go as soon as there was enough mountain to climb to make a difference. And that's what Pantani did incredibly. The 98 Tour, we all know, I think he finished 7th from last in the opening prologue, and then only won 2 stages, but they were epic mountain stages, and he put enough time back, clawed enough time back, and put enough time into everyone to win clearly. Could you imagine that now? The likes of Pajaka or Evenepoel, anyone like that, going into a stage race and coming 7th from last at the opening stage? You know, just absolutely wouldn't happen. But there we go. The bike itself, well, they are brilliant, no doubt about it. But with an Achilles heel, these things are without a doubt fragile. These aluminium frames on the Bianchis, they are definitely prone to cracking. Better on the slightly later EV2s, but they will also crack as well. It's a slow crack, it tends not to let go on you, but yeah, they definitely crack. And also, you know, this one's got Shimano's. I did have a set, I think they are Campagnolo Neutrons or Electrons, something like that, the super light wheels that Pantani and the like used for mountain climbing. I had a set of those. I just kept breaking spokes. They're no good for a guy my size, so you know, they have a reputation for breaking, and they definitely break. Also, last year did a video on ITM, well, on death stems. And in doing so, I discovered that the ITM Big One stems have a tendency of shearing straight off. So on the replica that I ride all the time, I did swap that out. Obviously, I've left that on here for originality's sake, but you know, it's certainly nervous nonetheless when you know that one of your key parts can actually completely shear off and fail. But is this a great bike? Going to go out on a limb and say it's probably the greatest bike. It is just epic. If it wasn't so fragile, I would ride this all the time. It's just an incredible thing, and it puts the biggest smile on your face despite its flaws and despite those Time EQ mag pedals, which are at best rubbish. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Do like and subscribe for anything else that's cool to do with vintage bikes. Thanks a lot.